Hi there and welcome. In today's video I'm going to be doing part 2 of add-ons for a denim jacket, and it's a Marks and Spencer dress that I'm going to be taking the bottom off to make a lovely add-on, and it turned out amazing. Now there's going to be a part 3 to this as well, because I don't want the video to be too long, so I'm going to be making in part 3 I'm going to be making a bottom part from scratch that's going to be possibly reversible. Depends what fabric I can get for the outer fabric. I have already chose the outer fabric, but I need to match it to a different fabric on the inside. So let's get on with today's video, which is using the skirt from the Marks and Spencer dress. So this was the dress that I actually bought in a charity shop, and it is beautiful, beautiful fabric. Fully lined, and I've actually just removed the top of the dress so I could use the bottom as an add-on for my denim jacket. So if you'd like to see how I do this, keep watching. So I've got the skirt, and I've made sure that this waist is 50 inch, which is what the width at the bottom of my jacket is. So what I've done is, where it needs to be turned over there, I've just tacked it. There's a little pleat there, I've tacked it. There's a little tiny one in the centre at the back, I've tacked that. And then there's another one on the front, and then I've turned it over on there so that this measures 50 inch. So what I'm doing now then, on the front, I'm actually marking where I need to put the coloured elastic. So I'm just going to put that to the end where it was. I've marked up to there. Just get that so I'm following it across, because I've already started doing this process. So let me just make sure that I've got to where I was, because you do need to be precise with this. Yeah, it is that orange one. And then I've got my little pen, and at the bottom of the button I'm just putting a little mark on the fabric opposite. So it's the centre of the button that you're marking opposite. Now, it was a little bit tricky last time when it came to stitching this elastic cordon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them into individual little strips this time. So I'll just go to the machine, fold it in half, and then I'll actually just stitch that in position. So I'm going to cut these to 1.5 inch. Right, so I'm going to cut these 1.5, and then where that 1.5 is, I can go to 3, 4.5, 6. So I'm just going to cut all these pieces. Right, so I've got my dish there with all the little elastic pieces in. So I've got my fabric right side facing upwards, and every time there's a black mark is where I'm going to be putting the elastic. So I'm just going to grab for a piece, fold it in half, making sure the ends are meeting, and then I'm going to bring the end of the elastic up to the top of the overlocking, and then just stitching it somewhere in that overlocking. Giving it a good back tack, getting another one, folding it in half, and I just want to, at this point, because I've got lining to sew on, fold that piece that's tucked under away, because needs to have some lining stitched onto that. I'm just getting that out of the way. Again, lining that up with the black mark. Giving it a good back tack. Get some of these out. This is such a better way of stitching the elastic on than how I was trying to do it last time. And I'm going to alternate the colours so that I'm not putting the same colour at the side of each other. Okay, so you get the picture what I'm doing. So I'm going to do the rest off camera. Right, so I'm just going to have a quick chat about how I had to alter the bottom part of this dress, which is now a skirt. I took all they weren't dots, they were like folds, so you've got like a pleat if you like. So I took all those out because this was a size 16 dress and I'm an 18. So I knew it was going to be it wasn't going to fit on my waist. Now the bottom of my jacket is 50 inch, so I needed this to be 50 inch. So I literally clipped this onto the bottom of the jacket after I'd undone the folds, and then where there was just a slight bit of loose fabric if you like, I put tiny tucks in. So there's one tuck on each side of the front of the jacket and there's one in the centre of the back. So when I come to the lining, once this was done, I actually put the lining up against the waist. So I've obviously got that folded over there, and that's where the line can be stitched. So from there, I put the lining, just coming from the letterbox there. So I literally put the lining up to there, and I literally went across all the way until I got to the end. But then it was, I think it was 6 inch short. So basically what I've done is I've just put one piece. It's not the same fabric, but it's the same colour. So you can see there, it's just this piece that I've put in the centre to give me that extra measurement that I want on the lining of the skirt. So I'm at the position now then where I'm going to be actually lining the skirt again. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the fabric right sides together. And then I'm going to just start at the top. And this is going to be coming down the side at the front. And I'm just going to clip this together. Ever so often, coming down the side. And it's obviously going to be a little bit shorter than the bottom because it is the lining. Right, so I'm going to go to the opposite side. Do the exact same. Right, so I'm just going to go to the juke and I'm literally going to just stitch down where I've just clipped it. So I'm just going to stitch down there on both sides. I'm going to do it off camera again just to save on time. So that is just stitched down the sides. So the lining and the main fabric is stitched together. So what I need to do now then is where I've got this turn over here, I'm going to just push that through on the corner. I'm going to get my scissors to actually really, in fact, let me just cut that corner off a little bit. There we go. So I can push that through like so. There we go. So the bit that I've cut off, just in case you didn't see, was just this tiny bit on the corner here. And then I need to make sure that that elastic loop is, you know, coming down, which it is. Right, so I'm just going to get my clip and start clipping this all along the top. So I'm joining the lining on the waist. So again, ever so often, I'm just going to place a clip in the top. I'm going to come to this opposite side, and again, I'm going to cut that little bit, that end off, and get all this, cut that cotton off. And then again, I'm just going to take a little bit of that corner off there, pushing all that through. Your scissors to point that through. Right, so to the duke, and let's get this stitched on. I'm going to do it with the lining on top, because then I can sort of see these elastics slightly through the lining. Now, obviously, I've got I need to get that elastic under there, make sure that that is coming down. But obviously the overlocking is in there, so I'm going to have to just bring it further down. So I'm aiming to stitch basically just under that overlocking. And once again, when I come to them elastic pieces, I'm going to just back tack again, and it's just giving me extra security for the elastic, you know, for strength. Right, so I'm just going to check here that I'm actually covering the overlocking on the opposite side as well, because I do not want that overlocking showing on either side, the lining or the main part. Yep, that's good. We're all good. I'm trying to keep these edges together on the main bit as well as the lining. And when I come to this end again, I'm going to be just making sure first of all that that elastic is coming down. And then I've got to obviously come down on here, because obviously the overlocking is on the right side, because I've obviously turned it through on there. So let me just check that there's no overlocking showing on that bit there. Now, all that I've got coming through there is some fabric that I'm going to actually just snip off. I'm going to need some scissors for that, I think, because it's a little bit. In fact, let me just go further down. Can you just see there how you've got this here? So I'm just going to turn that again, and then just come slightly, just a little bit further down, hopefully to cover that up. So let's have a look. Yep, that'll do. Let me just check the other side. Now I'm going to go and press this flat, because then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to top stitch this down, but obviously I want to press it first so it's all nice and flat. This is all pressed, so I'm just going to have the right side of the fabric no, I'm going to do it on the lining side, at the lining, because it's the lining that you're going to see on the inside of the jacket. And I'm literally just going to be top stitching all the way across. Right, so that's the top, all stitched nice and flat. So what I've actually done when I went to press that top, I've actually pressed the bottom of this seam. So let me just get this off, because I'm going to do the magic stitch on this bottom bit to neaten it off. So let me just get that clip on there and that clip there, and then the same on the other side. And then I'm going to clip that in place. Right, so I just need now, I need a needle. Right, and I'm going to just do this with it being single ply. So let me just cut a bit of that off, because it's a little bit long, that. I don't want it knotting. Right, so I need to come inside, and where that fold is there, that is where I'm bringing my needle out at the end, so the knot is going to be tucked nicely away inside. Now to do this magic stitch, where I am here, I'm coming, I'll just get that bit of a thread cut off there off that other one, so that's not, you're not seeing that. Right, so you're coming dead opposite to where I am here. Right, so I'm going to put that stitch in, and then I'm coming back to where I was, but then I'm moving the needle further along, so I'm coming in, but that way. So what did I say about it knotting? Okay, then I'm going straight opposite again, coming straight back, and then once again moving the needle inside. So I'm coming across and over, then bringing it out. And I'm only taking this top layer, I'm not going through to the front of the fabric. So again, where that is, straight over, bringing it straight back, and then pushing it across. Straight across, bringing it back, and over. Right, so I'm coming to the bottom, I'm going to do the same with that, so I'm closing it up. It's a bit thicker, this, so this is on the bottom, so I'm literally not going to do the magic stitch with this. I'm just going to actually stitch it across, but you're not going to see it because it's on the, you know, the very bottom. And I've got too many layers there. You can see the layers I've got. Now let me just get that. Do that a few times before I cut it off. Cut that thread off. There's a little bit of thread there of something. The magic stitch is there, and you cannot see the stitching at all, and you can't see it on the right side. So this is just a stitch that I came up with when somebody wanted me to turn some turnips on jeans and then stitch them in place. But this is the stitch that I came up with, and it's such a great stitch, you know, for like finishing things off. So I'm going to do the other side, guys, but I'm going to do it off camera. Now I just want to say 3 words, guys. Oh my God, this has turned out amazing. It really, really has. And using the bottom part of a dress, the biggest part of the work is done for you because all the hem's done. If it's got pockets in like this was, what a great addition, right? The pockets, I actually lined the side seam up with the side of the jacket, so they're perfectly placed. And it's so easy, so easy to attach this. It's just a case of undoing the elastic off the buttons to take it off. And then to put it back on, you just simply put in the elastic back over the buttons. So this is just one look that I've done to pair it up. And I've got some beautiful red shoes on, which pick up brilliant with the red flowers that's actually in the fabric. Before I go any further, sometimes when you start something new, you have to tweak it to get the perfect result, don't you? Well, when I put these loops on and I stitched them on the machine, when I took it off, there's a couple, you can see there's a couple that's actually come undone. So I've tweaked it. So what you need to do if you're going to do a project like this is with the elastics, you can see I've got my elastics for my next project. I've cut these, I've got my stitch mark, not my stitch mark, I got my gauge, and I literally measured the elastic from the top to the bottom of that red, but that's set at 2 inch, but I'd cut it just over 2 inch. And then what I've done is I've put 2 solid knots in the end, so that when that is looped, where the loop is here, it's on this side of the knot here that needs stitching. And then them knots cannot come through the stitching, because what's happened is the needle hasn't gone through the elastic on those 2 that's come out. Now, in part 1, where I did, you know, like the strips, the blue and black strips, they're going to be fine because I stitched that by hand and the needle went through the elastic each time several times. So I know that's good. So on projects like that skirted bottom, in fact, probably in future projects, because I'm going to always do it on machine, I'm not going to do it by hand again, I will always put knots in, and you need to make sure that that is pulled tight so that it's not going to come undone at the end. And then when that is stitched in place, there's no way that's going to come out like those 2 I've got to repair will do. Now, also what I'm going to do is, you know, the tassel where I actually just stitched cotton loops in part 1, they're going. I'm getting shut of them, and I'm simply going to stitch these elastics on because they're so much easier getting over the buttons. So I just needed to let you know about that now, because if you're going to do projects, no point in doing like that for the ends to come off. Make sure you're knotting them and cutting them a bit longer to allow for that knot, because a knot takes up measurement on your elastic. So I hope you've enjoyed part 2 of this add-on, guys. Till next time, bye for now.